That was a nice double you just had, John. He went very well for his size as well, didn't he?
Yeah, fought very hard, in a nice dogged fight. One of the beauties of our sport. Yeah, got it on half mackerel.
Very interesting the way pike seem to take sea dead bait so very avidly, even when they've never seen them before.
Yeah, I've had a lot of good sport with sea deads. I think people generally don't understand how effective they are.
Yes, that's right, that's right.
Yeah, I got that on the float ledger. I'm always very keen to use floats wherever I can because it's one of the most sensitive measures for bite indication for pike. I think that's vitally important, particularly when there's a chance, obviously, of deep hooking fish if you don't hit them quick enough. That's
right, indication is vital. You really do need to sense what's happening underwater straight away and react to it accordingly.
That's right. I caught that, as I said, on the float ledgered rig. I tend to use very few rigs. I think rigs must be as simple as possible.
I quite agree. I think a lot of anglers, particularly with regard to pike fishing, tend to overcomplicate rigs.
Yeah, that's right.
The basic rigs are still very effective.
Perhaps we should go and have a chat with old Vic, see what he thinks.
Vic's always got a few tricks up his sleeve. Well worth having a word with him.
Yeah, indeed. Let's go.
Now, Vic, you've had an awful lot of good pike over the years. How do you generally tend to approach a new water if you're pike fishing it for the very first time?
Find the prey fish. That, to me, is the basic location skill involved in pike fishing. If you can find the prey fish, you'll find the pike. They won't be far away. Pike eat fish, as we know, not gravel bars. The only reason that features are of interest to the pike fisherman is to find the features that the prey fish follow, not the pike.
That's right. So why this particular area today, Vic?
Again, out here there is two substantial features of interest. About 30 yards out, the water comes up from 11 foot to 5 foot onto quite a substantial, slightly weedy plateau. Even at this time of year there's weed on it. And that certainly tends to pick up fish there on dead baits. The other feature is to the right, which is the tree line and the sunken reeds, etc. That's usually a banker area for at least one or two fish. Not today as it happens, but normally.
And of course, with the prevailing southwesterly wind, the prey fish get moved down into this corner of the pit.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the old adage of fish on the end of a wind is always a good move.
Yes, I would agree.
As long as it's a warmish wind rather than, I mean, an easterly you get as far away from as humanly possible.
John and I have just been talking about rigs for pike fishing. We both came to the conclusion that rigs are best kept simple, that far too many people overcomplicate their rigs. What are your feelings on the subject, Vic?
I agree completely. I think people invent rigs for the sake of it. Numerous bits and bobs get put on, bits of plastic, beads, swivels, you name it, it's on there. And I think it just complicates the rig and also makes it more prone to tangling.
Right.
Than if it's kept simple.
So what have you got out there today?
Yeah, the right-hand rod is a fairly standard sunk float paternoster. It's slightly modified in a manner that John Watson and I have been using for several years. It works well. The other one is standard ledgered deadbait on a John Sidley eel rig, or an adaptation thereof, which basically involves a short lead link of about 6 to 9 inches with a poly ball at the top of it, slided. And then you have a 10 to 12 inch length of much stiffer line. This tends to act in the manner of rig tube, but without having to complicate things by lots of rig tube. And it never ever tangles.
That sounds very interesting. Can we take a look, Vic?
That's interesting, Vic.
Yeah, this is the rig that I was mentioning earlier. Standard deadbait rig that I use now all the time. Got two size 6 trebles on an 18-inch 20-pound wire trace. Trebles have got the barb squeezed flat on 2 points. Come up the trace, you come to a link swivel for easy removal with the fish on the bank. And then you've got the anti-tangle facility, which is just a length of 25-pound line between 2 swivels, usually about 9 to 10 inches. This gives you a very rigid section which acts like anti-tangle tube and stops the rig tangling. From there you then go onto the main line, statutory bead, And then the lead link, which is of lighter line for obvious reasons. Lead's attached by another link swivel to facilitate easy changing of the weight. And then at the top of the link we have a small poly ball held in position by a ledger stop. When the rig sits on the bottom, the poly ball lifts up and keeps the line clear of any bottom weed, thus making it easy for a fish to take line when it's picked up the bait. A very, very effective rig, as I say, invented by John Sidley.
As you say, Vic, simple and very effective.
That's right.
Whack it out and see if we can't get a fish on it.